so much better.
The DS9 documentary is not an official CBS project. However, CBS are actively involved. Now, they've given the DS9 guys, the documentary guys, full access to the archives. And if DS9 wasn't behind the documentary, there's no way they would have allowed them to touch that kind of, this precious asset. Okay. Now, let me explain about how the remastering process works and why we've seen it for the next generation TNG and why we haven't seen it for Deep Space Nine or for Voyager. So if you're a Voyager fan, by the way, listen to this as well. Okay. Now, originally, the film, the video for the shoots were shot on 35mm film. Now, the resolution for 35mm film is, around 20 megapixels, okay? Now, when the series was shot, you had the 35mm film, but the show that actually came onto, that was broadcast, was scanned down to NTSC, which is 640 by 480 pixels, which is really poor. Okay, now for the original series remastering, remastering from SD to HD was actually quite a simple process. Now, they basically scanned all the 35mm footage into HD. It literally involves, I think, taking a picture of each frame and then putting it into HDR. I'm sure it was automated, okay? And voila, you've got TOS in HD. However, they also redid the visual effects because the way the visual effects were done in those days meant that after a period of time, there's a lot of grime and dust added to the footage. So when you had a glorious, the HD beautiful footage, the visual effects actually looked a little bit muddy. So they had to redo it so that the visual effects were in line with clarity of the actual HD footage. Now, for TNG, this process was actually much more complicated. Now, the reason why is in the 1980s, when cheaper videotape technology came in, what it meant was that they got this raw 35mm footage, which is the footage they shot with the cameras. Okay, and this is, I might not be 100% in what I'm saying here, but this is my understanding of the process. Now, so they shot it in 35mm footage, which is the glorious 20 megapixel beautiful colors, okay? And they then scanned all of that raw footage onto videotape. The reason behind that was because, doing the editing, the compositing, all the post-production processes on videotape was far cheaper than editing and splicing your raw 35mm footage. But the end result of that was that you have the final series on videotape. You never had it, and which was downgraded to NTSC resolution, and you've never had it in the glorious 20 megapixel 35mm film. So what they had to do when it came to the TNG was, this was unprecedented. It's never been done before, right? They went back to the raw original negatives, right? They compared that negative to the edited, the broadcast version, and they essentially rescanned all of the raw footage, and they then spliced it and cut it and added the new special effects, and basically the entire post-production process they did again, but in HD, and the whole series cost in upwards of $12 million. Okay, so it's not a cheap process. It took years and a lot of people. Now, unfortunately, what happened next was that, physical discs, generally, the sales have plummeted since the advent of streaming technology. Now, you have the likes of Netflix, people are subscribing and using their services much more than they are. Even myself, I had a huge DVD collection. My Blu-ray collection, not so much. And now you've got the 4K Blu-ray, and I'm just kind of like, I will buy select movies in 4K, but I won't buy everything because I know give another few years it'll be obsolete. If you can get decent enough quality on Netflix and the like, and such as CBS All Access, then you're not going to buy the physical disc. So the sales of the physical disc were actually not what they were projected to be. The other caveat to that is people like me who would actually I've brought the Blu-rays, but I waited for the price to go down, was thinking, okay, I'll just buy it when it's cheaper, which I did, but not thinking, hold on a second, it would mean that I would lose out on DS9 in Blu-ray. And if I'd known that in advance, then believe me, I would have bought the TNG as and when it came out, because I could fund the DS9 and Blu-ray, which is something I'm really gunning for. I'm actually watching Voyager on Netflix at the moment, and the quality is dire. I can forgive it. I mean, you watch it and actually, you know what? You watch it for the storyline and everything else fades, but there are scenes where it's just completely unavoidable because it just looks so horrendous. And just to see that, if that was done in HD, it would be so beautiful. If you don't believe in the power of HD, just go watch some TNG remastered footage versus the SD footage. It's a world of difference. But the added complication of DS9 was that it used a lot of computer, a lot of CGI effects. Now those effects were also done in low resolution because, you know, the broadcast was done in low resolution. Much of the original assets apparently are lost. So what they would have to do is redo them. Now, actually, I'm getting there are mixed messages from. I mean, I've heard that actually most of the footage does exist, and others will say that some of it's lost and not all of it's lost. And what we have seen is that where those assets are available, actually, you can up-res them quite easily, because apparently they use much higher res models than they needed to for the actual series. So when you go to the original assets, they're actually quite well detailed, and it just needs a little bit more work to bring them up to HD standard, or even 4K standard if you're going to do it right. So I'm hearing mixed messages, so maybe it won't be as complex in terms of the CGI, but it will certainly be more involved than TNG was. So why do I still feel that there is a last best hope for a DS9 HD remaster? Well, 5 reasons, okay? It's kind of 4.5, but I'd say 5 because, you know, it's good to see that. Number 1. If streaming was a problem, then now we have the solution in CBS All Access. Yes, so CBS have their own streaming service. Now, if they want subscribers, I mean, look at the Discovery subscriber numbers. I mean, they're apparently, I mean, we haven't got them released, but from, you know, from outside information, it seems that Discovery was one of the most successful streaming shows of last year. Was it last year? Oh my goodness, last year, this year. So what better to get in more subscribers than a DS9 HD remaster? I think that will bring in more people, and that all that money is direct to CBS, you know. So that's number 1. Number 2, the appetite for DS9 is much bigger. DS9 is one of those shows, when it first came out, it was almost like a black sheep of this Star Trek family. But ever since it came off air even, it seems that the love for DS9 has grown. If you know, browse any of the forums and people are talking about it, I think maybe it was ahead of its time. It certainly was a pioneer in terms of the kind of storytelling it was doing. You have to imagine, go back all those years ago, what we had were TNG-like episodes, TNG-like series, with episodes that were quite discreet. You could come into a series, watch an episode, season 3, episode 10. You see the start, the middle, and the end, and you could go away, and you'd have a nice little contained story. Now, what DS9 did, and what Babylon 5 pioneered also, was the story arc. So you could probably come into, you know, season 5, episode 6, and you could watch it and be like, that's a brilliant episode, but what on earth is going on? You wouldn't really understand, because it was a story arc. It was a new form of storytelling, and Star Trek had never seen, well, TV had never seen anything like it, and Star Trek certainly hadn't. And so it brought that in, and now I think people appreciate that kind of storytelling much more, because, you know, all the series pretty much are like that. Number 3, and it's kind of almost like a 2B really, but the success of the DS9 documentary itself must have, you know, opened some eyes over at CBS. Now we're talking, what, $650,000? Put that into context. It cost upwards of, what, $12 million to do the entire TNG series remastered, okay, $12 million. And we're talking a DS9 documentary that is, what, an hour and a half long, and it's made 650, then add in another 34,000 that the HD campaign has so far made. So we're talking what, nearly $700,000. That's no small prize. So imagine the love that people, because people don't even know about the DS9 dock still, but imagine the love a DS9 HD remastered series would get. I mean, they could stream it on CBS All Access, they could release the 1080p Blu-ray, they could release a 4K Blu-ray, I'd be there, and they could sell it to Netflix as well. I mean, Netflix made a huge amount of money for Discovery, and they have Discovery and all the Star Trek series, and I'm sure they would play money again for the DS9 remastered series. Maybe, okay, not so much, but I'd sell it to Amazon. Maybe Amazon would love to have it as a direct rival to Netflix. But whatever the case, there is money to be made. Okay, and number four, CBS is already actively involved in the DS9 documentary. Okay, they haven't sat by the sidelines. They have helped, from what I can understand, they've given full access to the DS9 archives for the remastering. Okay, if they didn't want the documentary to be successful, if they were like, no, this is an unofficial documentary, why should we support it? In all intents and purposes, this is as close to an official documentary as you can get without it being official. Number 5, the HD remaster campaign itself. Okay, now this is just me thinking out loud. Okay, now this documentary has been in the works for, I mean, what, an hour and a half? Yeah, no, a year and a half. Why have they only done 5 minutes? I know some of the guys working on the HD side of things, and they've been working on it, I believe, since the turn of the year. It's taking them that long to do 5 minutes, and yet the DS9 documentary is going to come out in a few months' time. At least that's what the estimated timeline is. How is it that they spend a year on 5 minutes and they can suddenly knock out 15 minutes of footage in a few months? Does not compute. Okay, now it could be that they've actually already done the 20 minutes of HD footage, or they're in the process of doing it, and you know, they need to pay the guys, they're gone over budget, so that's fine, they're asking for additional money. Or it could be a little bit more sneaky. It could be that they are testing the waters. They're testing the waters to see what the appetite is for the HD remaster. Now, if this campaign, this specific HD campaign, is successful for 20 minutes of footage, okay, it's already at 35,000-ish. Let's say it goes up to 50,000 or whatever it is. Now, if they can show that there is appetite and people are willing to pay for the DS9 20 minutes of HD footage, then what's to stop CBS going, if people are willing to pay 20 minutes footage, this much money, then how much are they willing to pay for the entire series? Okay, sorry, am I saying okay loads of times? Okay, that's my thinking. I believe there is something more to this campaign than just the 20 minutes of footage. I think this is a little teaser, a little tester for the remastering of DS9. Now, I could be completely wrong, don't take my word for it, it's just me thinking, but there are certain elements of this that don't compute. I don't think it's, oh, give us the money, we're going to do another 15 minutes and then release it in a couple of months. No, there is something much more to this. Okay, oh my god, I said okay again. Oh, what is going on? Seriously though, take out your wallet, take out your card, click that link, and please, please, please just support, even if it's the tip jar. This is our last best hope for a DS9 HD remaster. It is real, and it is just waiting for your money to go there. But thank you for watching. Follow me on social media, especially Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, where I post daily news updates. And now that my kind of work commitments are a little bit less, I can do more kind of news updates as and when they go up, rather than it's been a little bit kind of haphazard as of late. So that's it. I look forward to receiving your comments. I look forward to receiving your likes. I look forward to receiving your subscribe and clicking that notification bell. And please share if you like this. Go on Reddit and please share on Reddit if you like. Go on your social media site. Go on Facebook and post it. If people are into science fiction, if they're into Star Trek, if they're into the MCU, if they're into the DCU, if they're into anything science fantasy or science fiction, then direct them my way, please. And I hope to see you in a few more days for episode 3. Peace.